Yes, hello everyone and welcome in. Thank you so much Arcade Glasgow for the raid. And welcome in everybody who's here, who's stopping by. We've got so many Rage Clubbers in the chat. Please make sure you go and support them. Please make sure you go and show them some love. The whole Rage Club has done a phenomenal job this weekend of raising money for the Trevor project, and well, me and my co-host, who I'm gonna introduce you to in a minute, well, she's gonna introduce herself, are here to do the Rage Club Queer Solidarity panel. So, without further ado, I'm gonna bring in a little. I'm just gonna read out a little introduction that I did. I'm quite proud of this chat. I think you'll be pretty impressed, to be honest. But yes, hello and welcome to the Rage Club Streamapalooza Queer Solidarity Panel 2022. We're here to raise money for the Trevor Project, which is a great charity doing brilliant work for suicide prevention amongst LGBTQ plus youth in the US. Sadly, the necessity of this organization is a terrifying reality for a lot of us. Here on the panel today, we have, well, this has changed. This part of the intro has changed because we've had some people drop out, but we have a couple of queer voices, and we're going to talk about our experiences and the realities of what it's like to be a queer person in 2022. The continued attacks from far-right politicians and media pundits in the UK and the US are horrific. The accusations of grooming, extremely hateful rhetoric about trans people, and planned terrorism against pride events is a stark reminder that people in power are terrified of our liberation. And while that is a daunting thing for most, I want to focus on the future and how we can use that as hopium for queer people everywhere. These fascists are a dying breed. They simply will not erase us, they cannot. They've tried time and time again throughout history. But being queer is not just a queer experience, it's a natural and human experience. Multiple indigenous people around the world that existed long before the white colonialist settlers that dominate the lands that they stole knew that we existed, and we were an accepted part of society in many indigenous societies and still are to this day. And that's because those indigenous people know that things like sexuality, gender, and expressions of either are fluid, and nothing is meant to be shoved into a box to be scrutinized, defined, and denied connection to the rest of the world. As the old saying goes, we're here, we're queer, get used to it. Pride is a protest. It was started by Marsha P. Johnson and other black trans women who were frequently harassed and violently attacked by the police in the US, who only exist to serve capital, mind you. They do not keep us safe. And capital did and does not see queer or black lives as meaningful and therefore disposable. We honor her and their memory in this month of June and ask everyone to remember, surviving as a queer person is a slap in the face of that fascism. They will not win. You cannot destroy a human experience unless you destroy every single human on the planet. And without further ado, let me allow my co-host to introduce herself. Slashie?
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Slashie, as djmuel said. My pronouns are she, her. I am a woman of color. I am bisexual, which means I'm ticking all the boxes almost anyway. That's how I like to say it anyway. Yeah, so I have been hate raided before on Twitch, just some experience with racism recently. Hello, Cynthia, thank you very much. And I have experienced some, bullshit. And I also have Twitter, so I see how this bullshit is not just affecting me, but affecting everyone. And how all this transphobia is not just affecting trans people, but it's affecting everyone, and it's gonna fuck us all up, and the people who aren't doing anything to stop it are part of the problem. And yeah, so we're just here to talk about some bullshit, but also as djmuel said, we're also here to try and talk about how things are going to get better, because they inevitably are, and this is just the last cries of a dying breed of people and opinions that will not last the end of the century, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree 100% because, you know, as I said previously, it's a bit weird because normally I just do things off the cuff. I don't really ever like read from a script, so it's a bit weird that. But like as I said in that script, you know, these people are desperately trying to erase us from existence. Our liberation is everything that they don't want, because, you know, in terms of if people realize that you can, for example, trans your gender, or you can live as, you know, whatever kind of queerness you want. You can, you know, sleep with whoever you want. You can love whoever you want. Or you can not sleep with people, or you can not be romantic with people and stuff. Then that goes against everything that white settler colonialists have tried to erase over the last few centuries. So like I said to you earlier when we were on the call, I'm really glad that you're here because, of course, as you said, you are ticking a lot of the boxes. But of course, that's not why we've got you on.
No,
you wanted to be part of this.
Yes, I did volunteer. I was told to be here. Hello, we need a token queer person. No, don't be, no.
Imagine.
That's not how we do things here.
But yeah, so that's that. I guess like the main thing that I want to talk about with you, or hear from you really, is kind of how you think cis-het people could do more, because our allies have done a really good job this weekend in the Rage Club of you know, raising a lot of money and talking about our trauma, which is something that we normally have to talk about, and we normally have to be like, oh, you know, listen, just so you know, things suck for us like a lot of the time. And I think that personally they've done quite a good job of doing that. And I want to know if you think there's any blind spots that maybe people have missed in talking about stuff like that. Anything that you would say, you know, cishet people might want to, you know, learn about. Obviously, we aren't criticizing our allies here. We are, you know, simply just saying like, okay, maybe there's some blind spots that you might have missed. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I would say there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism, right?
Exactly.
And a real ally is going to be like, okay, thank you for your feedback. I'll try to do better, as opposed to get defensive and be like, well, I already did this, which I don't think anyone on the Twitch Rage Club would do.
No.
And not just in the Rage Club. I really feel like I see it in lots of spaces. Like, these are the spaces we carve out for ourselves. We seek these people out on purpose. Sure, there's something to be said for that. There's obviously a lot of hatred on Twitch as well. But, you know, there are so many people in my chat who I know are cis and straight, and who absolutely roll with it all. Like, they don't sit there and go, oh, these pronouns, I don't really get them. Like, every single time I'm like, by the way, you can set your pronouns with the pronoun extension. They're like, okay, cool, I'll do that. And they think it's cool that my bot respects their pronouns and stuff like that. So I would definitely say that generally people are doing the right things. You love to see it.
Yep.
But yeah, what could they be doing better? I would say, first of all, the fact that this is happening in the first place is fantastic, obviously. It's less so individual people that could be doing better, I feel like, and more so organizations. Like, Twitch is doing great with things like Pride Actions. All of the fact that they spoke out about Roe versus Wade yesterday, fantastic. There's still more that they could do. I think everyone knows that.
Yep.
Although I am loving what I'm seeing so far with the new verification and stuff like that. As for blind spots, yeah, mostly just empathy. I think most people, a lot of cis straight people, not most people, but a lot of cis straight people do need to realize that there are always going to be things they don't understand. And that sometimes someone who is queer does not want to explain it to them. They just don't have the energy. They don't have the time. I mean, the two other members who are supposed to join us today were not feeling it today. And that's fine, and people need to accept that sort of thing. Like, obviously me and you accepted that.
Yep. Because we know what it's like, right?
Yeah. Like, even me, like, I'm not trans, but reading all this news about how trans rights are getting stomped on constantly exhausts me to read about. I hate it. It's yeah. I can't even imagine how it would feel like as an actual trans person reading about this.
Yeah.
So I completely understand when someone just doesn't have the energy to advocate for themselves. You know, there are people who are less sensitive who will be like, oh, you're getting hate rated, just, you know, tell them to fuck off. And it's just like, I don't want to have to tell them to fuck off. I just want them to have fucked off without me having to say anything. Wait, I didn't check about language.
You could swear as much as you like, of course.
Okay,
you can, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
We're not on the front page.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, so I just want to say I'm loving what I'm seeing. I love to see more of it. This is obviously I joined the Rage Club at the beginning of this year, so it's my first event. I understand that they do this every year, and it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think because that's the thing. You do see more and more people absolutely fine with queer people of every description. And, you know, of course, there are always people who get, I guess, you know, they get completely swayed by the media and what they say about us. And you will hear people complain about, quote unquote, the woke agenda, which is basically just, if anyone doesn't know, it's just complaining that like black people are in media, or like, you know, Asian people or queer people, like just anyone who isn't like cis het white and a man. You know, it's a huge dog whistle to basically just be like, oh yeah, like anyone who is outside of the accepted norm is in this media or whatever. And you know, like you see like the papers doing it. The papers do it in the UK. You're based in Germany, am I right?
Yeah, so I did originally grow up in England. I lived there for 20 years, but I moved to Germany.
Yeah, so you know what the
UK,
you know what the UK press is like.
Yeah, and mostly when I do get political news, it's mostly about the UK because, of course, my friends are all British and and
so they're trying to do that in the UK press as well.
It's
they're trying
honestly ridiculous.
Yeah. Obviously the biggest thing in the UK press is the attacks on trans people, trans women specifically. Trans men get it too, but in the mainstream media it is mostly trans women who get it. And
thanks to JK Queen Turf.
Who was surprisingly quiet about Roe v. Wade yesterday as a feminist, as a women's rights activist. Yeah, interesting how that is the case. But yeah, so it's but as I was saying, like the long and short of it, I agree with you entirely. I think that most everyday people are coming to the understanding that like they're not gonna get like a disease, they're not gonna catch the gay from gay people, you know, it's not like a thing anymore. Obviously that is, you know, harkening back to the AIDS crisis and stuff like that, and you know, and also I think one of the biggest things, and this is something that I see, I don't know if this is something that you've seen just generally in your day-to-day life, but like generally people who are straight are a bit more open to, you know, thinking like maybe I'm not straight, maybe I'm a little bit queer, maybe, you know, and you see more people who are interested in like, you know, experimenting, more people who are interested in like, you know, going, okay, well, you know, and I guess it's more people coming out, which is good because it shows that acceptance is, you know, a bit more progressive than it used to be.
Yeah, for example, I was talking about trans rights with the parents of my partner, and his mother would like made the comment that like, you know, it just wasn't really a thing back then. Right. And all I had to say was like, it would have been a thing if people were accepting. You were probably surrounded by trans and queer people who just never felt safe enough to tell you. Yep. And the reason that so many young people are gay and lesbian and bisexual, etc., is just because they feel comfortable enough to do that now because the world is slightly better than it used to be, and people like me, like you, like everyone in Rage Club are making those spaces safe for them and are saying, look, you can be yourself here. Yeah. And people feel safe enough to actually do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's lovely to see, honestly. Of things, even in the media, like ignoring news media, which has obviously got its own problems, things like Heartstopper coming out, or how movies are starting to feature gay parents more often. It's so lovely to see that. I never had that when I was growing up.
No, me neither.
You know, the queers were the butt of the jokes back then. Like, oh, he might be gay, haha, punchline. What? Whereas now, you know, you have those really cute, or First Kill, which just came out on Netflix, haven't even seen it yet. A really trashy love story, except they're both women. It's incredible.
Oh, shit.
It's so
Let's
nice.
go. Yeah, I love that.
It's a vampire and a vampire hunter, huntress, doing Romeo and Juliet, and it's apparently really trashy. I haven't seen it myself yet. But
I love that. That's extremely gay
this
because
is the point where we're at.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, we want our shit media too. Like, we don't just want like these art pieces about gay trauma. We want our shit trashy romances that we can't help but watch. You know, where's Love Island except everyone is gay?
Oh, hell yeah.
Things like this.
Oh,
you know?
I would legit watch that, actually. Like, I hate Love Island, but I would absolutely love that if it was just queer.
It would be so good.
It's interesting you say that, because that is an excellent point, and it's something that we talk about a lot as queer people, that you know, we are more than our trauma. Like, we are you know, I said this before, like, you know, our allies have done a great job of talking about our trauma this weekend with the various different streams that the Streamapaloozas have been doing, which is phenomenal. It takes a lot of weight off us from having to do that, because maybe that's what this panel would have been today, just me and Slashie telling you how shit it is to be queer sometimes. But it's about queer joy. Like, that's something that, like, we need to tell you as queer people. Like, you know, just an example in, like, you know, my recent life, my partner, you know, I've recently, like, fallen in love with a trans person. Like, you know, they're a trans femme, non-binary trans femme, and it's the best relationship I've been in my life. And you know, it all honestly, like, I can't tell you enough, like, the times when I was trying to, you know, because obviously I'm bi, so, like, you know, I wasn't, like, necessarily forcing myself to be straight by being in, you know, a relationship with a woman, but I was certainly not aware that I was queer, and so the you know, the dating pool, I know this is a big truth, the dating pool was, like, a bit smaller, but that's true, though, because it's like, oh, well, you know, I could date non-binary people, I could date men, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, right. So, and I ended up meeting my partner, and, you know, every single time I'm with them, like, my cheeks hurt because I'm laughing so much. You know what I mean? And we have such a lovely time, and we get on so well, and it's just like, you know, just a great relationship. And that exists. Like, that is, you know, that is queer joy. And it's something I'd never experienced before. And when I first came out as bi, and I started to you know, get a lot more into, like, bi culture, like what it's like to be a bi man, and start dating as a bi man as well, I started to see a lot of the trauma that I, you know, I didn't know existed before I knew I was queer. And I was like, damn, being fucking bi sucks. Like, this sucks, right? So, like, to now experience my queerness in the best way that I possibly can with another queer person is just, like, extremely, like, I guess the only way I could describe it is euphoric, right? It's queer euphoria. Like, trans people talk about gender euphoria a lot, and like, I certainly am experiencing, like, queer euphoria, because it's like, oh my god, I am just like myself, you know, and that's making me extremely happy. And yeah, like, you know, I wanted to, you know, ask you, like, what examples of queer joy could you give to the people watching, the people listening, that we need to, like, focus on more?
Yeah, I really think that just being on Twitch and making those communities for ourselves is so freeing. Like, talking about these issues and not getting any kind of pushback, it's so freeing and, yeah, joyful. Literally, just knowing that there are other people like you and they have the same experiences, and not the same opinions, but you know, everyone's kind of more towards this, hey, guess what, trans people deserve rights too type opinions. Compared to like your day-to-day life, like your IRL life, where you can't necessarily talk about these things without necessarily inviting criticism, and you just don't even want to risk it at times. Like, I'm never coming out to my family, for example, or at least not for a long time. Being able to find that space on Twitch and online in general, and fight, like, I like to say that queer people love the found family trope in media.
Yep.
And it feels like that on Twitch too. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna make some friends here, and they're gonna mean so much to me, and they're gonna bring me so much joy. That to me is the queer joy I experience, is just like every day with these people I talk to online, wherever they are in the world. It sucks that we might not meet IRL, not for a long time, but having friends with similar opinions, like when you in IRL, the friends you make are usually just a happenstance of exposure. Like, oh, you went to school with this person every day for 10 years. They're your friend now, you know? Whereas online, these people seek you out, you seek them out, and you get along through concentrated effort. Wow. Concentrated effort. And you choose every day to talk to that person and such like that. Yeah, being able to find that space for me was really, really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it is just, you know, like that media as well, like you say, like, you know, Heartstopper and stuff, like that representation is so important as well, because like you say, like we didn't have that stuff growing up. Like we didn't see queer people falling in love. Like the first exposure to queer people that I had was a show in the UK, you might remember it, called Queer as Folk. And Queer as Folk was very specifically focused around queer people just like sleeping around and having a lot of sex, and it was mostly like cis white gays. You know, I don't even think there were like lesbians in that show. I just think there were just like gay men. And so it was kind of like, well, you know, it still feeds into that idea that queer people are like just sexual in nature. Like we're not just like people who have lives, and you know, we do things other than fucking. It's just like a really annoying trope that people just see us as sexual objects, right? You know,
and it's not just a trope either, because it does really have an impact on our life. Like gay bars,
a stereotype, right?
Gay bars, that's it. That's the only queer space you'll find in most places.
Yes.
Or dating apps like Grindr, which already has its own reputation for being, you know, very sex oriented. I've obviously never used Grindr myself.
You're
but,
right. It sucks. It sucks.
So my partner is currently living in a different city. He's at university there, so he's there for 4 months, and they have a queer space really close to his apartment. We didn't get to visit it last time I was there, but we're definitely going next time. And I love it. They have like events, community events. I think they're doing their own Pride parade today, which is really unfortunate that I missed it, but you know, I'm kind of busy.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of my mods, her name's Princess, they have a queer cafe as well, and she's making tons of friends there. And it's not just about hooking up, it's about going out and doing things together, and being with each other as queer people, not necessarily looking to fuck. And it's beautiful, especially because, you know, there are asexual people who belong in the queer umbrella. There are aromantic people who aren't interested in that. They deserve those spaces too. I've definitely seen like sentiments online from asexual aro-ace people who say like they feel it's difficult to relate to LGBTQ people because they don't have the attraction. And that is just really alienating for some people in the LGBTQ people. And that's really unfortunate. It's like all of us queer people belong together. We can relate to each other. We can help each other. We can support each other. And we can advocate for each other. And all of us deserve that.
Yeah. Not
just people who are interested in sex and dates.
Well, I think it's really important that you bring up the ace and aro thing, and like, that they you know, sometimes feel alienated from the LGBTQ plus community. And one big thing about that is that sometimes ace and aro people aren't what you would call, I guess, traditionally queer. So they're not like gay or lesbian or bi or pan. Like they're actually just straight and they're ace and aro. And those people exist, and they absolutely, there needs to be a space for them in our community because they do not fit the amatonormative standards of cis-het normative society. And so that's a huge thing. And of course, they're going to feel a little bit pushed out of the community regarding that. Yet ace and aro people exist. Like, you know, I think that like there's people who aren't normally in my community here today. So it's important to like, you know, drive that home. Like, you know, ace and aro people are there. That you know, they're how they identify will vary wildly. It's also fluid, as I mentioned before. There are some ace people who are sex repulsed. There are some ace people who have sex. And there's a great YouTuber called David Bradley that you should go and check out, who is an ace person. They're a non-binary ace person, and they have really good content on what it's like to be ace and stuff like that. So make sure you go and check out David Bradley. But yeah, speaking about clubs as well, like this is another thing in terms of you know, how we can get together and be joyous together, because I don't know if you've experienced that much of this, but in the queer community, certainly in the UK, there is a terrible connection of addiction and queer people. And that's because we, generally speaking, these places, like you say, that exist for us to collaborate together, are generally toxic places, like gay bars, like, you know, in the drinking culture of the UK specifically, where it's like go out and drink like you want to die.
Binge drinking, yeah.
You know, like my ex, she was bi, and she had like such a bad drinking problem before she met me. She was like getting so drunk that she would like not sleep all weekend, and you know, this was like only happening in gay bars. Like this is where she did it and stuff. And it's just really bad because, like you said, and that's another importance of having these spaces where we don't just like go to drink and have sex, because that's not all we are. Like I'm sober, and it's really hard for me to find sober queer events, you know, well, in Manchester anyway. And that is like a huge thing for me. Like I feel extremely uncomfortable around people who are getting super drunk. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not necessarily.
Yeah, and then they're always like, "Oh, have a drink," or "You don't drink? No, you should have one. Just have one."
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Like that's definitely an issue. My partner's also voluntarily doesn't drink. He's never had an alcoholic problem, but he just doesn't drink. I myself, I don't really enjoy alcohol.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always an issue. For some reason, even vegetarians will be like, "Oh, have a drink." Like, don't you get it? It's the same as when meat eaters are telling you to have a burger. No,
That's true.
It just flies right over their head, and people being shitty.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I'm really excited about the queer bar cafe. I think it's a cafe because they definitely have mocktails as well, which is really nice.
Hell yeah.
So I'm really excited to check that out next time I'm at his place.
I remember when I first stopped drinking and I was like, why are people having mocktails? Like, what's that about? Like, you don't get drunk? Like, it just seems like a waste of time. Like, I don't know. If you're going to stop drinking, why were you going to pretend to drink? But as a sober person, I can appreciate a mocktail nowadays. It's like, yeah, because I'm going somewhere and I want, like, something that's
fancy
not
drinks.
Water. Right, a fancy
drink. I want to feel fancy. I'm out for the night. Yeah, that they taste good as well, and they stop people asking questions. Like,
yes.
they look like alcohol. It's fine, you know. Like, there's a lot of good reasons behind a mocktail.
Yeah, I agree. And so yeah, so we've spoken a lot about you know, queer joy. We've spoken about queer spaces and what we want to see more of. One thing that my good friend Sophie from Mars has said to me before about, you know, what cis people can do to help trans people, for example, is, well, one of the biggest things that you can do. Like, a lot of people have this idea where, like, maybe they're going to come across a trans person being harassed in the street, and they're going to have to, like, you know, intervene and get involved and, like, potentially put themselves in danger. And while that would be the right thing to do, certainly, obviously, if you're comfortable doing that, it's probably going to be extremely rare that you see that. And I think the focus, what she said to me was that the focus that she wants to see cis people, cis queer people, cis het people take is having more conversations with their cis friends about this stuff. And it's not necessarily pulling up your transphobic auntie at the Christmas dinner table. It's actually more like speaking to your cis friends and going, yo, have you heard how bad it is for trans people at the minute? And, you know what I mean? Like, have you heard about these dog whistles that TERFs use? Like, have you heard about, like, the dinosaur emoji on Twitter? Have you heard about, like...
oh, wait, what?
Yeah, right.
I haven't heard about the dinosaur emoji. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so this is a thing. And a trans person that I know actually told me about this, and it's seems extremely uncomfortable. But basically what happened is that they were outside having a drink with their friends, and they were sat around some older white ladies, and they basically, like, their friend was just like a cis gay man, like a white cis gay man, and then, like, they spoke after a while, and apparently these two women kind of, like, you know, were taken a bit aback by their voice. And obviously what's happened there is they've clocked that they're trans, right? And so they started going on almost immediately about how they're dinosaurs and they wouldn't understand it. Now, the dinosaur thing on Twitter is basically like, it's a dog whistle to, like, say to other people that they are a TERF without saying it out loud, because people know what TERF means. Yeah. Absolutely. And
I do not understand how these people's minds work. Oh my God.
Well, you know, their minds work because they are led astray by something. You know, they have nothing in their lives. These people have absolutely nothing in their lives. They're extremely privileged. They have, you know, endless amounts of time, because 9 times out of 10, these people are just like, they're not always working class people, you know? Like, most of the time they're like middle class, upper class people who have too much time on their hands, and they are desperate for something to fill the time. And if they're online a lot, and, you know, a lot of middle-aged women, and let's just be clear, it's not just middle-aged women, it's majoritively men. Like, most women, especially in the UK, all over the place are literally in favor of you know, trans women identifying, even just trans people in general identifying however they want to identify. So anyway, back to the dinosaur thing, is like, that's a way for them to essentially be like, I'm a TERF, without saying I'm a TERF, because, like I said, people know what a TERF is. But the hilarious thing about this is that the person who designed the dinosaur emojis on Twitter for the iPhone or whatever has actually said that she wanted them to be trans. Like, she wanted their gender to be, like, non-specific. Right? So, like, the person who fucking designed these emojis that TERFs are putting in their fucking, you know, in their name, it's a trans symbol, so trans people have been, like, reclaiming that.
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah,
Isn't
right.
that always the case?
Yeah,
that's what they do every time.
Yeah, they don't realize that, like, you know, this is something that is actually, like, extremely based. So anyway, I can't remember where I was going with that. The dinosaur.
Oh, sorry.
Thing.
About talking to cis people about trans issues.
Yeah. So, like, talking to cis people about, like, this stuff, basically. Do you know what I mean? Just literally, like, I've done with you there, innit? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Thank you for educating me.
Yeah, you saw, like, chat, if you want an example of that, you just saw it happen. Right there, right? And so, yeah, like, you know, in terms of that, like, you know, what would you want to see from cis people? And, you know, in terms of, you know, how you see that, like, white cis gay people are being centered in a lot of, you know, conversations. Like, what do you want to see coming from allies? Like, who you would call an ally in that regard?
Yeah. So I have a few examples where I can relate to this. specifically having those conversations. Like, okay, so I myself am cis, obviously. Obviously, that's I meant it more like a, not like obviously like, oh look at me, I'm clearly cis. I meant it more like a so my talk on trans issues is you know, influenced
from a cis
by that.
perspective.
So
yeah,
I am one of those people who need to be talked to about trans issues as well, right? Like obviously I advocate as much as I can, but we always require education. That's the thing. Everyone has that responsibility to be better. But anyway, so I've had to have these conversations with my cis friends as well, where like one, it's kind of fell a little into the whole, you know, the issue of trans athletes in sports issue. Oh, sorry, issue. Right. Like it's an actual problem. And I had to talk to them and be like, look, this is real, like this is such a non-issue. It's not a real reason to get caught up on anything. And it just undermines trans people's right to live their lives the way they want to. Thank you for the shout out. And I just, having those conversations without invitation and making it clear that like you will not tolerate anything otherwise is kind of what you need to see from people. You know, if they're having a conversation about something else and they just make a comment that's kind of like iffy, you know, you need to ask about that and follow up on it and make sure that your friend or the person you care about is not spreading hateful rhetoric, whether on purpose or not. Because at the end of the day, even if they themselves are not racist or sexist or transphobic or homophobic, by saying things like that are questionable, they are making other people feel like it's okay. Other people who are sexist or racist, they're like, okay, I have an ally here, and they should have 0 allies because they're hateful piece of shit. So things like that is just making it clear that like, look, your opinion is not welcome. Because, you know, as much as we talk about tolerating everything and stuff like that, we literally can't. The paradox of intolerance exists, and by tolerating hateful opinions, those opinions are the ones that will win out. And we're kind of seeing that now. Is like the things that are happening in the media right now are specifically because of the passiveness.
Passivity.
Passivity, yep, that's the word I was going for, thank you. And, you know, these enlightened centrists are like, oh, you know, I don't really feel either way, or like everyone should have their own opinion, or we need to platform both sides. No, we don't. We really fucking don't need to platform both sides. No. When you've got an anti-vax Karen who just reads, sorry, Karen's kind of a iffy term. You got an anti-vax middle-aged mother who just reads too many Facebook articles without checking sources or anything like that, versus a literal doctor. Don't tell me they both need the same platform. Like they don't. They don't. And that's not to, you know, be like elitist or anything like that, but at the end of the day, one of them is educated in their field and the other one spends too much time online.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there. In terms of what kind of things will allow stuff like this to happen. You know, it's exactly the same in terms of what we're seeing in the US with Roe versus Wade being overturned yesterday. The passivity of, you know, people who say that they're allies to women in that regard, and people who say they're allies to us queer people, you know, every kind of queer person. Like, it's not enough to say you're an ally. Like, you have to do stuff. You have to actually be there for us when shit is going down. And not even just when shit's going down. You have to be there for us all the time. You absolutely must. Absolutely must. Thanks, Slashie. I was just about to type that. You absolutely must listen to what queer people are saying, to what women are saying, to what people of color are saying, in what they want allies to do. And you can't be, if you brought up a great example there, Slashie, because a lot of people are terrified of being branded a racist or a transphobe or a homophobe or a lesbophobe or whatever, you know, brand of hateful person. Mm-hmm. But there's a difference between being told you're doing something homophobic and being a homophobe. right? If you're a homophobe, that is what you are, and we know that you're like that because we've told you are, and you won't change, right? Whereas doing something homophobic, well, you know, I don't know if you know, like me, like I've been homophobic like for fucking years. Do you know what I mean? Like before I realized I was queer, right? I was extremely homophobic. Like, oof. You know what I mean? Like and of course that's internalized, it's completely internalized. But the point I'm trying to make is that like people get better and people learn, and you can be told that you're a homophobe, and you can be told that you're like doing something homophobic, and it's not the end of the world. Like you have to go, oh, hang on a minute, all right. Yeah, you're right. So when allies are out there and they're saying like, I'm scared of getting something wrong, don't be.
Yeah.
If you get something wrong, we'll tell you. And that's when you go, okay, sweet. What you should be scared of is if you turn around and start trying to defend yourself, like Slashie said before. It's when people try and over-explain themselves. One of the worst scenarios I had on Twitch was when someone said something homophobic in my chat. And, you know, I'm an easygoing guy. I've got a lot of privilege. I'm white. I'm cis. I'm a man. And, you know, so I can deal with a bit of shit, right? And so I just said to this person, I just said, listen, I'm just going to say what you said sounded a bit homophobic. And this person completely dismissed me. And so I banned him, right? I said, don't fuck with me like that.
Get out of here.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I said, don't fucking fuck with me like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that necessarily. Like, that was like, so the way I would describe it is like, that was like getting a slap in the face, right? It's quick, it's over in a minute. You're like a bit reeling from it, and you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. But it lasts for like, what, an hour, right?
Well, I would say that depends on the person, obviously. Like some people think about it for a long time. Like,
yes,
it's a bit. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
It's a bit like with the hate raids. I myself personally was not super affected by them. Like they would come in here, they would say all kinds of shit, talking about how I was the one to murder George Floyd, among other things. Yeah, it was some really fucked up shit. And I would just switch to my hate raid scene, which was literally just a channel image of like my avatar being like, fuck you hate raiders. That was nice. It. I would run an ad, I would ban them all, remove all of them, and then go straight back to streaming, and that was fine for me. I could do that. But other people, it was very, very hurtful, and they took it personally. They were very affected by it. Some of them, you know, didn't even stream again. They were done. Like they couldn't handle that, and that's fine. Like, it's not fine that it happened to them, obviously. It's fine to have that reaction, to feel that way. So yeah, for me, like, someone says some bullshit in my chat, I'm just like, mate, fuck off. Other people are like, you know, they take that a lot.
Yeah, it totally depends on the person. It totally depends on multiple things. Like, there's nuance to this discussion. So yeah, you're absolutely right, and I appreciate you bringing that up. But for me personally, it was so that initial thing of just like someone, you know, in the example that I'm trying to give, in the context here of like, someone says something homophobic and then goes, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course I'm gonna ban you from my chat because it's easy to do that, right? It was the DMs that I got after that, where this person was
so cringe.
And it wasn't even like, it was cringe, because this person wasn't even being like, you're a piece of shit, you're an F slur, like this, that, and the other. They weren't being hateful. They were being too apologetic, like to the point where they were centering themselves, right? They were centering themselves in the apology. They were like, I would never do this. I'm not a homophobe. They were even queer themselves. They were a queer woman. And I was like, I don't care if you're queer. Do you know what I mean? Like, I actually don't care. Like, you hurt me and you said something homophobic. It's possible for queer people to say homophobic things and for other queer people to not be all right with that, you know? And it was just the endless explaining and like centering of themselves and just and
the self-victimizing.
Yes,
that's so common.
That's what we're talking about when it comes to like what we want to see from allies. Basically, none of that.
I would say just at a basic human decency level, even aside from everything else, respect a block.
Yeah.
Respect a ban.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe file one unban request where you're like, I'm sorry, I will reflect on this issue and I'll try not to do it again. And if they say no, respect that too. Just I experienced it so much on Twitch. You ban someone in chat and they're in your DM. So some kid who broke my rules just by being a kid, I'm like, I don't want children here. Please leave. First of all, 2 hours of messaging like, oh please, I'm sorry I lied, blah blah blah. I don't care if you don't have friends. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't want you in my space.
Yep.
They comment on YouTube videos sometimes. They commented on my TikTok like, can I add the other people we played with because I need people to play with? I'm just like, bro. I mean, I get it because they're a kid, but adults do this too. They just do not recognize you've been blocked. That means that person does not want to interact with you. That doesn't mean you put them on blast for blocking you. That doesn't mean you're in their DMs being like, oh, why did you block me? Please, can we be friends again? That doesn't mean you make alt accounts and show up at their chat as well. Just respect it and move on. That person doesn't like you. That's fine. Find someone who does like you. Okay, like even if it was because of something you did by accident, or like, oh, I'm not really homophobic, I'm sorry I made that comment, it was a bad comment. They've chosen to block you. They've chosen to not unblock you. A block is about, it's exactly that. It's just enforcing your boundaries, it's enforcing what you're comfortable with. And someone who tries to step on top of that is just, you're a dick. Like, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
You're being a piece of shit. You 100%. Need to leave.
Spot on. I want to spend the last 5 minutes just quickly focusing on kind of what we can do in the future to help queer people. So you know, I know that we literally just basically became acquainted yesterday, which I do feel shitty about, by the way, because we've been in Rage Club for so long. But you are extremely based. You know about unions and stuff like that. And, you know, my stream here, I'm a communist, I'm an anarchist, I'm an anti-fascist. And I am like all about unions. And I think one blind spot that we have in the LGBTQ plus community is LGBTQ plus unions. Because we are strong together, and the unions are an example of that, right? So I don't know how much you know about Vietnam, but Vietnam, for example, has a women's union. And the women's union...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, lots of people don't know about this because the Imperial Core, they don't want to let you know that these quote-unquote third world countries are extremely based. So, for example, like I say, Vietnam has a women's union. It makes a lot of decisions based on what women want, because of course pretty much every woman in Vietnam is in the women's union, so it is
That's incredible.
The strongest union, right? It's amazing.
That's so based.
So extremely based. And so imagine for a second, if you will, what we could do with an LGBTQIA plus union. Because
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
There was that film, I think it's called Pride.
Yeah.
Right? Like, whereas the miners' unions working with the LGBTQ plus like groups in the area. Like, we could do that. We could do that. That would be incredible.
That's what it's all about. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, so in terms of where I want to see the queer community go, is that basically, like, I've been talking to my chat about that recently, because we have to remember, like, if you look at the laws that are being passed in the US about, you know, basically stopping trans people from getting life-saving medicine. And stopping, you know, just like gay men from giving blood, and all kinds of stuff. You know, it's like, and also trans women, by the way, they of course class trans women as gay men in that regard, right? When it comes to those laws. So, you know, in terms of those laws getting passed, voting is not stopping this stuff. The Democrats are in power. The quote unquote good guys are in power in the US. And nothing is happening. So we need to start thinking about how we look after ourselves. If the government isn't going to look after us, we need to look after us. And the way that we could do that is by starting LGBTQ plus unions. I just think it's a really good idea. There's one in France that's really cool. I forget the name, but they focus on getting like HRT for trans women, trans people in general, and they focus on protecting people if they've been like kicked out of the house and stuff like that. They have like support communities and stuff. So yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts on that, really.
That just sounds absolutely wild, like in the best way possible.
Yeah.
That is like the potential we have, that people have. Like that's the best of humanity right there.
Yeah.
Just looking after each other. Like that's okay. So I don't necessarily identify as a communist. I feel like I'm not super educated on stuff like that. I definitely identify as a socialist. And my main issue is how we as people just don't do enough to look after each other. It's always about everyone getting their own. Capitalism is the epitome of this perspective. And it's just like we have enough food. Why are people starving to death? We have enough houses. Why are there people on the streets? And that idea of like unions are the opposite of that. It's people looking at like solidarity. It's looking after each other. It's working with each other. It's advocating for each other. And I'd love to see that on a global scale, on for LGBTQ plus people specifically, for working class people, just all of that. It's just people without power coming together and taking that power, empowering each other, empowering themselves. Sounds fucking fab.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So it this is the kind of stuff. And I guess what my message is in saying that to the people who are listening is that queer people know that the government isn't looking out for them. Like, we're very well aware that we're not gonna solve things by voting. We're not gonna solve things by voting for Keir Starmer in the UK. We're not gonna solve things by voting
Jeremy
for the
Corbyn,
Democrats.
my beloved.
I know. Yeah, it's so sad.
Bernie Sanders, please.
I know. Yeah, Bernie, Corbs. What the hell? Like those are our hopes in electoral politics, but that's as far as we can take it.
And they don't make it. They're not making it because the mainstream political systems are designed that people like that don't make it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it sucks. I would totally love, by the way, to get you on my stream again to like talk more.
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to. This has been fantastic.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed myself.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'd love to talk more with you about this stuff like live. I think it's really dope. You've got some great opinions, obviously.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's this in terms of like what we're doing today and stuff like that. Like the main message that we wanted to get out to people is that queer people need to start organizing this stuff, and we need every bit of help from our allies that we can get, and whether that's supporting us in this, whether that's telling other queer people about that, whether that's having conversations like we've said about things that you may not be aware of in your immediate family, your immediate community, talking with your friends about stuff that they're not really like quite understanding is harmful. And yeah, I think that's it, really, isn't it? Like that's the basis of the the chat.
Yeah, that's it for today anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, gang, we've had this chat here to benefit the Streamapalooza. Well, it's I guess like this is like the bow that's...
We're so close to 7K. Oh my gosh.
I know, yeah, it's
that.
absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Our wonderful allies in the Rage Club, and don't forget, there's plenty of queer people in the Rage Club too, apart from me and Slashie. It is, as Slashie said, it's a really good club if you're queer. Stream team, like, they're really inclusive, and they do a lot of good work to like center queer voices and stuff like that. Obviously, like, they organized this whole fucking weekend.
Saria has been incredible.
Yeah,
like, she's trying to get us front page slots and everything. She put this whole thing together. Like,
yeah,
and not to mention the team who's obviously helped her out as well. Honestly, I've loved being in the club. Like, I've only been here since the start of the year, like I said, but it's honestly one of the best things that have happened like to me.
That's great.
And like, I wouldn't have had this opportunity to talk to you, for example, without Rage Club, without the Streamapalooza. And yeah, it's just, and yesterday was so much fun with the Shrek 2 reading.
Listen, gang, like, if you've not if you've just been like, waiting for my stream to check out the Streamapalooza, do yourself a favor and go to Saria Slay's channel and check out the reading of Shrek 2. It was honestly like one of the funniest things I've seen on Twitch. Just like a bunch of streamers getting together and having a laugh. It was, my cheeks were gonna fall off. Like, I just enjoyed it so much. It was so much fun. Toasty this morning, I just got the end of Toasty eating all that spicy food and that. I don't know what she was eating. What was she eating? Were you there? Like, I
wasn't able to make it, unfortunately. I was knocked out.
Yeah, no, I
woke up at 12.
I'm the same. Honestly, I'm exactly the same. I woke up late. It was I saw that she'd really like, she was gasping for air. Like, there was a lot of spice going on.
I could never.
I know. No. Like, I love spicy food, but when it comes to, like,
I don't.
What do they call Carolina Reapers and all that kind of stuff? And I don't know if she had any of that, but like, those kinds of spicy foods.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's just too much. Her eyes were rolling in the back of her head, Queen of the Harpy said. She ate dog food at the end. Oh my god, what the hell?
Look, I put make me eat an olive on my incentives, and I was like, oh, I'm being so wild right now.
Yeah. Your cake is like, did you finish it yesterday? I've not seen any pictures.
No, so I didn't finish it yesterday.
Yeah.
I only got 2 of the layers.
I know, I saw on your stream. Yeah.
I was making a gay cake for my Streamapalooza slot. It's in the fridge. It's had the layers are stacked, but I needed to get more frosting to actually decorate the outside so that we can do the artful cut inside. But the colors are looking really good so far. So
they were looking good yesterday. I can't wait to see it, honestly. Yeah.
And since the cake batter tasted so good, I've got high hopes for the actual cake itself.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Right, gang. So listen, this has been the Queer Solidarity panel for the Rage Club Streamapalooza 2022. Don't forget, we're raising money for the Trevor Project. As Slashie said, we are nearly so close to $7,000 raised, which is absolutely incredible for day 2. If we could get to $10,000 by tomorrow, that would be absolutely amazing, but any and more would of course be appreciated. I haven't had any alerts on for this stream today, so I'm sorry if you've donated via my donate link and you've not seen anything come up. Don't worry about it. That's all going to be for tomorrow, because of course today me and Slashie were just having a chat. We're talking about queer issues and stuff like that. So if you want to see your alerts, stop by my stream tomorrow for the djmuel's drum and bass tent. I'll be closing off the event with 3 solid hours, maybe a bit more if you donate a bit more. I don't know. We'll see how tired I am of drum and bass. It'll be really cool. It'll be really good. But don't forget, there's lots of other stuff happening in between now and then with the rest of the Rage Club. You can check out the Rage Club team on Twitch, or you can come with us to the raid now, where we are going to raid Saria Slays, as we mentioned before, our team leader, Saria, who's organized this whole event. She is hosting a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tournament with the rest of the Rage Club, with, well, not all of them, but like a lot of them.
Imagine.
So, Slashie, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you.
No, thank you for having me. It was wonderful. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next time.
and Becca and Jerry in the chat, love you so much. Obviously, don't worry about not being able to make it. Like, we love you so much.
I want to get some. Feel better soon.
I want to get some love in the chat. I want to get some love hearts in the chat for Jerry and Becca. Please send both of them a lot of love, because they are beautiful, wonderful people and they deserve all of your time. Go and follow them both on Twitch. They're both amazing streamers as well. Oh, that's the wrong person. Sorry, Beanie Gaby. Beanie Gaby isn't even a streamer. No, there's Becca Beckery. Okay. Oh, no, it's not. I don't even know what I'm doing.
They were last streaming.
Extremely. Yeah, they were last streaming, ! Yeah, what a cool game. That's one of my favorite games. So, we're going to go and raid Saria Slays now. So, Slashie, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to transition over to the ending stream
Hi
page.
everyone.
Scene.
Thanks for being here.
And please
And
go and
thanks for
follow
donating.
Slashie.
Hey, we hit 7,000. Let's go.
Hey,
Thank you so
7,000.
much.
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
I was saying hell yeah at the same time. You love to see it.
Love to see it. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Slashie. I'll see you in Saria's chat.
Yeah, see you there.
All right,
bye
lovely.
everyone.
Take it easy. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you egg dog? Oh shit! Sorry. Do not perceive me. I'm out of here.